Everything you accept in life defines who you become. Stop settling. Stop compromising. Today, you take control, or watch your world take control of you.
What you accept defines your life. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of what you tolerate. That is the quiet truth shaping your entire life right now. Not what you hope for, not what you talk about, not what you post, pray for, or promise yourself at night. What you accept. Because every life, without exception, is a mirror of the standards a person silently agrees to live with. Look closely. Your income reflects what you've accepted as normal. Your relationships reflect what you've accepted as good enough. Your habits reflect what you've accepted as just how I am. And the most dangerous part is this. Most people never consciously choose these standards. They drift into them. They inherit them from tired voices, broken systems, average surroundings, and unchallenged beliefs. They normalize limitation. They normalize chaos. They normalize dissatisfaction. And then they wonder why life feels heavy. Dale Carnegie understood this long before most people dared to face it. He saw that success is not seized in dramatic moments. It is permitted through daily tolerance. What you allow to stay, stays. What you excuse, expands. What you refuse to confront becomes your ceiling. The world doesn't decide your limits. You do. Every time you stay silent when you should act. Every time you settle when you should demand more of yourself. Every time you say, "It's fine," when deep down you know it isn't. This is not about blame. This is about power. Because the moment you realize this truth, you reclaim control. You begin to see that greatness doesn't arrive one day. It emerges the moment your standards rise. The moment you decide that certain behaviors, thoughts, environments, and excuses are no longer allowed access to your life. History proves this again and again. Abraham Lincoln accepted years of failure, but never accepted defeat as identity. Thomas Edison accepted thousands of failed attempts, but never accepted the idea that he was incapable. Henry Ford accepted struggle, but never accepted small thinking. They were not superhuman. They were selective. Selective about what they tolerated. Selective about what they allowed to define them. Selective about which inner voices got to speak. Most people fail not because they aim too high, but because they accept too low. They accept waking up tired. They accept working without purpose. They accept drifting through days without direction. They accept mental noise, weak focus, and borrowed beliefs. And slowly, quietly, their life shrinks to fit those agreements. But here's the truth no one tells you clearly enough. You are always training life how to treat you. Every habit you keep is a vote. Every boundary you fail to set is a signal. Every excuse you repeat is a contract. Life listens. If you accept mediocrity, it delivers mediocrity. If you accept chaos, it multiplies chaos. If you accept weakness, it strengthens weakness. But the opposite is also true. The moment you stop accepting what drains you, distracts you, or diminishes you, life begins to reorganize itself around your new standards. This is where mindset shifts from theory to force. Because belief alone is not enough. Hope alone is not enough. Visualization without standards is fantasy. What changes a life is the quiet, disciplined decision to no longer live below your potential. To no longer accept the inner dialogue that says, "This is just who I am." To no longer accept environments that pull you backward. To no longer accept habits that betray your future. Carnegie taught that influence begins within. And the first person you must influence is yourself. You do that by deciding once and for all what is no longer allowed. No more accepting inconsistency. No more accepting excuses disguised as realism. No more accepting a life that looks safe on the outside but feels empty on the inside. This is not about perfection. It is about alignment. Alignment between who you are now and who you know you're capable of becoming. The gap between those two versions of you is not filled with luck. It is filled with standards. And standards are enforced by what you accept or refuse to accept every single day. Your future is listening. Your habits are speaking. Your standards are deciding. And this is only the beginning.
Most people don't realize how subtly acceptance works. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers. It says, just this once. It says, you deserve a break. It says, everyone lives like this. It says, I'll fix it later. And later becomes a lifestyle. That's how standards erode, not through collapse, but through compromise. You don't wake up one day and decide to live beneath your potential. You arrive there through 1,000 quiet agreements you never questioned. You accept scrolling instead of thinking. You accept comfort instead of challenge. You accept being busy instead of being intentional. And over time, your inner world reflects those choices. The mind is obedient. It adapts to whatever you repeatedly permit. If you allow distraction, your focus weakens. If you allow self-doubt, confidence dissolves. If you allow fear to decide, courage never gets trained. This is why discipline is not punishment, it is protection. Protection of your energy, protection of your direction, protection of the future you are quietly building when no one is watching. Dale Carnegie understood that self-mastery is influence in its purest form. If you cannot command your own standards, the world will command them for you. And the world has no interest in your greatness. It rewards conformity. It rewards predictability. It rewards comfort. Greatness begins the moment you stop negotiating with the version of yourself that wants to stay small. That version will always have reasons, always have explanations, always have logic. But logic without vision leads nowhere. You were not designed to merely cope. You were designed to create, to lead, to grow into something stronger than yesterday. But that requires one uncomfortable truth. Every excuse you accept today becomes a limitation tomorrow. People often ask why success feels heavy at first, why growth feels lonely, why discipline feels unnatural. It's because you're breaking contracts you've lived by for years. You were telling your old standards you no longer get to decide, and they resist. They show up as fatigue, as doubt, as nostalgia for comfort. But discomfort is not danger, it is transition. Think of every breakthrough moment in history. Lincoln facing a divided nation, Edison refusing to quit after failure piled on failure, Ford challenging an industry that told him he was foolish. None of them accepted the first verdict. They did not accept public opinion as final truth. They did not accept temporary failure as permanent identity. They chose higher standards before results appeared. That is the order most people misunderstand. They wait for confidence before discipline. They wait for clarity before action. They wait for motivation before commitment. But those things come after standards rise, not before. You don't become confident and then demand more of yourself. You demand more of yourself, and confidence follows. You don't wait for life to become easier. You decide to become stronger.
And strength is built by refusing to accept weakness as fate. This applies to everything: your time, your thoughts, your environment, your circle. Who you allow access to your mind shapes who you become. What you consume daily trains your nervous system. What you tolerate emotionally becomes your baseline. If you accept chaos, peace feels foreign. If you accept noise, silence feels uncomfortable. If you accept mediocrity, excellence feels unrealistic. That is why change feels strange at first. You are recalibrating your inner compass. You are teaching your mind a new normal, a normal where focus is respected, where effort is non-negotiable, where excuses are not entertained, where growth is expected. And slowly, quietly, life begins to respond. Opportunities sharpen, decisions clarify, confidence steadies. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You stopped accepting what drained you. You started honoring what builds you. This is how identity is forged, not through dramatic declarations, but through daily enforcement. Through saying no when it's uncomfortable, through staying consistent when no one applauds, through choosing discipline when motivation disappears. You don't need more time, you need higher standards. You don't need more luck, you need fewer compromises. And the moment you internalize this truth, your life begins to realign. Because what you accept defines your direction, and direction over time becomes destiny.
There comes a moment, quiet, almost invisible, when you realize the ceiling above your life was never imposed by the world. It was self-installed. Not through lack of talent, not through lack of opportunity, but through the limits you silently agreed to live under. You accepted tiredness as a reason to stop. You accepted fear as wisdom. You accepted waiting as preparation. And while you waited, life kept moving. This is where most people misunderstand growth. They think it requires force. It doesn't. It requires clarity. Clarity about what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. Because once clarity arrives, discipline stops feeling like pressure. It becomes alignment. You're no longer forcing yourself to act. You're removing behaviors that don't belong to who you're becoming. That's a powerful shift. When Dale Carnegie rose from poverty to shape an entire industry, he didn't do it by working harder than everyone else alone. He did it by thinking differently about value, time, and responsibility. He raised his internal standards before the external world ever rewarded him. He refused to accept a small role in a large system. He chose to build the system. And that choice began internally, long before wealth followed. Every leader you admire made this decision early. I will not accept the version of life that happens by default. Default living is easy. Intentional living is demanding. Default living reacts. Intentional living decides. Default living asks, what happened today? Intentional living asks, what did I allow today? That question changes everything, because suddenly responsibility shifts inward, not as blame, but as power. You are no longer at the mercy of moods. You are no longer negotiating with circumstances. You are shaping conditions. And yes, this demands sacrifice. You sacrifice comfort for progress. You sacrifice distraction for focus. You sacrifice short-term relief for long-term respect, self-respect. Most people fear sacrifice because they believe they're losing something. But in reality, you're exchanging. You're trading ease for excellence. You're trading noise for clarity. You're trading the familiar for the meaningful. And the mind resists that exchange at first. It craves what it knows, even when what it knows is holding it back. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. One intense week won't undo years of lowered standards, but steady elevation will. day by day, decision by decision, you begin to tighten the boundaries around your life. You guard your mornings. You choose your inputs carefully. You stop explaining your discipline to people who benefit from your distraction. And something subtle begins to happen. Your presence changes. People feel it before you speak. They sense it in how you listen, in how you move, in how you respond instead of react. This is quiet authority. It's not loud, it's not forced, it doesn't demand attention, it commands respect, because it comes from alignment. You are no longer split between intention and behavior, you are congruent. And congruence is rare. Most people are divided, wanting growth but choosing comfort, desiring success but practicing avoidance. When you close that gap, you become uncommon. You don't chase validation. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. Your standards speak for you. And life responds differently to people who respect themselves. Opportunities sharpen. Distractions lose appeal. Your energy becomes purposeful instead of scattered. This isn't magic. It's cause and effect. You stopped accepting what weakened you, and strength followed. You stopped accepting delay, and momentum arrived. You stopped accepting excuses, and results began forming, quietly at first, then unmistakably. This is the truth most never face. Your future isn't shaped by what you want, it's shaped by what you allow. And the moment you raise what you allow, your life must rise to meet it.
Notice how the world constantly tests limits. Every conversation, every email, every situation is silently asking, how much will you accept before you surrender? Most people fail here, not because they lack skill or intelligence, but because they accept too much. They accept disrespect from others. They accept mediocrity in themselves. They accept noise that clouds their focus. They accept excuses instead of results. And every acceptance is like a silent signature on a contract that says, I agree to remain small. But you, if you followed this path, begin to see the invisible contract. You begin to refuse the defaults that others take for granted. This is where resilience is forged, not in moments of comfort, not in times when everything aligns perfectly, but in the small, consistent acts of refusal. The refusal to let a toxic conversation dictate your mood. The refusal to skip the work that makes you stronger. The refusal to let fear decide your choices. History shows this again and again. Ford wasn't just an automaker, he was a rebel against inefficiency and doubt. Disney wasn't just an animator, he was a builder of dreams when others told him no. Lincoln wasn't just a politician, he was a man shaping a nation when compromise seemed safer. What did all of them have in common? They refused to accept what the world wanted them to accept. They refused to negotiate with limitation. And here's the secret most never tell you. You don't need permission to refuse. You don't need a reason to elevate your standards. You simply decide, and the world adjusts. When you stop accepting mediocrity from yourself, your mind becomes your ally. When you stop accepting distractions, your focus becomes unshakable. When you stop accepting excuses, your results begin to compound. This is why mastery starts internally. The outer world mirrors the inner world with ruthless precision. Your relationships reflect your self-respect. Your work reflects your discipline. Your success reflects your beliefs. So, if you want a life that commands respect, generates influence, and inspires others, you must start here. Decide what you will no longer accept. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Every great figure you admire has made that decision countless times, silently, before the applause ever came. And here's what happens next. Boundaries clarify your purpose. Purpose fuels action. Action creates momentum. Momentum delivers results, and results reinforce your internal power. It's a cycle that grows exponentially when you refuse to compromise. The truly powerful don't need motivation. They need clarity. They need refusal. They need alignment. The rest, the accolades, wealth, influence, and legacy, are byproducts, not the starting point. Most people chase outcomes. You, if you've learned to refuse what weakens you, attract outcomes. This is the law of the unshakable life. What you refuse defines what you receive. And as you refine this refusal, you'll notice something profound. People treat you differently. Opportunities appear that weren't visible before. Challenges become training, not traps. Failures become feedback, not verdicts. Your mind stops being a battlefield and becomes a command center. Your energy is no longer scattered, it is directed. Your life is no longer accidental, it is deliberate. And that, more than anything else, is what separates the invisible from the unstoppable.
And now you stand at the threshold between the life most people accept and the life you refuse to compromise on. Everything you've seen, everything you've felt, every lesson you've absorbed is preparing you for this. The moment you stop letting the world define your limits. Refusal is not rebellion, it is mastery. It is not anger, it is clarity. It is not rigidity, it is alignment with your highest self. The world will try to test you. It will whisper doubts, shout distractions, and present shortcuts that lead nowhere. Ignore it, not arrogantly, not bitterly, but with unshakable certainty. Decide what you will accept and what you will not. Decide who you will be before the world tries.
This channel isn't for everyone. It's for those who choose discipline over excuses.